Hello, this is Dr. Earl with ACTIVZ. I've been asked to do a brief review in regards to the TriFecta and its effect on mitochondria. And this is pretty exciting. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of our bodies. They estimate that up to 10% of our body weight is actually made up of mitochondria in each of our individual cells. So it really plays an important role in our energy level, our activity, and interestingly enough, obviously, if there's an overuse or a dysfunction of mitochondria, then it produces additional inflammation. As a powerhouse, it's responsible for burning the energy that we put into our body, the carbohydrates, the fats, etc., turning that into ATP, which is then what our cells can use as energy to fuel us as we move throughout our daily activities. And that includes everything from thinking, thought, mental activities to out there chopping wood. I mean, whatever you decide you're going to be doing for the day, it's dependent upon mitochondria. Well, part of that process of producing that amount of energy also means that it produces a significant amount of oxidative stress. This is where oxidative stress comes from. That then produces inflammation. And so really understanding mitochondria and understanding the central role of the trifecta with mitochondria is very important. So let's see what the research shows. Now, I'm just going to pull up a few articles today. Understand that there are a host of articles that can confirm a lot of what we're going to talk about today. So let's see what we discover. So first article we're going to talk about is this: mitochondria, biogenesis, and clearance. And as I mentioned earlier, it is a balancing act. They are responsible for creating the energy, but part of that energy production means that they're going to drive up inflammation. Well, we know that NRF2, and in ACTIVZ terms, that is genomics. NRF2 is an activator of mitochondria. It works at the membrane level of the mitochondria. And so it activates that and allows them to function more proficiently. The reality is as well that the NRF2 will actually get in and alter the DNA in a positive way and make it so that more mitochondria can be available. And so that's very exciting. But understand, one of the key components about genomics is the fact that it also produces and activates 300 additional genes. 3,000 additional genes. Missed the zero there. 3,000 to 4,000 additional genes in your DNA that then balance out the inflammation. If we're simply producing more and more mitochondria, that really can be problematic because then that will increase the oxidative stress. It has to be a balance. And the beautiful thing about an NRF2 activator versus a NRF1 activator is the NRF2 actually activates additional genes that bring everything into balance. Whereas an NRF1 really has been shown to activate mitochondria and perhaps produce more, but it doesn't bring everything into balance. That's key. It's beautiful to have the balance. And if without the balance, we might be producing too much inflammation if we have too many mitochondria. And with the balance, we keep everything in a proper function. And this really talked about, again, clearance, keeping everything in balance, a beautiful article. This article talked again about the multifaceted role of NRF2 in mitochondrial function. So again, not only activating, balancing out the membranes, making sure it works better, but then also keeping that oxidative stress under control. Again, very important as we move forward. And they've shown that mitochondria dysfunction is one of the leading contributors to everything from Parkinson's disease, dementia. All of your neurodegenerative disease have some form of mitochondrial dysfunction and imbalance. And I really want to make sure that that's an important point that you take home. Balance and keeping things in balance is very, very key. Okay, again, another article, The Emerging Role of NRF2 in Mitochondrial Function, talks about NRF2. It's a prominent player in supporting the structure, function, integrity of the mitochondria. It's particularly critical under conditions of stress. Wow, that's really key. And we all find ourselves under a significant amount of stress right now. So again, NRF2 is really this balance. It's really key. And may I say as we kind of move through this, the NRF2 and it balancing those components really is critical to keep those stressors that we have, COVID, whatever it may be, the stress of the environment, the stress of work, and whatever has going on, under control and keeping it in balance. So we don't want to just push mitochondrial function without some type of balance. Now, one of the other key components about genomics that's really fun and exciting is the fact that it actually is 10 times more effective than previous versions of NRF2 activation. And that has been proven through the research. And so it's key to get not only a very potent dose into you, but use something that balances the system rather than just drive a particular function. Genomics does that, and it's very critical from that standpoint. And if you have something that balances systems rather than just driving it without any type of system in order to keep it in check, then you end up with, again, additional inflammation and oxidative stress, and that's a problem. All right, again, an additional article that talks about the role of NRF2, the fact that it will both help with inflammation, it helps with using of energy, and then also helps with the oxidative stress. And so, again, just a great article, lots of descriptions and pretty pictures, etc. We could go through a lot of this, but understand the key component is NRF2 increases the role and the effectiveness of the mitochondria. It actually helps to then balance the inflammation and keep everything in check. Okay. Again, I've talked about this previously. We're talking about NRF2 signaling and mitochondrial function in Parkinson's disease. Now, this talked about actual Parkinson's disease, but imagine if you keep everything in balance in regards to genomics and your NRF2, you're actually going to be as not only helping with Parkinson's if you have it, but also be able to lessen the likelihood that you'll ever come up with Parkinson's. That's key. All right, let's talk a little bit about tetrahydrocurcumin. So really, the amount of research that's out there on tetrahydrocurcumin is immense. And you have to understand that then they did a copious amount of research on curcumin and its role on inflammation, DNA modification, modulation in a positive way of the immune system, making your immune system stronger, better, and in balance. And the list just goes on and on. Well, again, they've found that the component of tetrahydrocurcumin is significantly more powerful. It's the end result. It's the powerful product of the curcumin. It's what we want in high quantities inside of our body to have these amazing effects. Well, that is really Optimend. Optimend is tetrahydrocurcumin packaged in such a way that it gets past the stomach acid, it gets past the alkaline of the duodenum, and gets where it can be absorbed and really make a big impact in your body. It's absolutely critical from that standpoint. But again, once it gets into your body, it epigenetically mitigates mitochondrial dysfunction. What this means is that if the mitochondria start drifting towards dysfunction, tetrahydrocurcumin keeps it in proper function. And again, this was a test that really looked at, and I skipped a test, but that looked at already diseased mitochondria and made it work even better. This article that I just jumped into, they actually did a test to show that tetrahydrocurcumin, during times of ultimate stress, meaning a brain stroke, so the area of the brain is receiving no oxygen, no nutrients, it's heading towards impending death, it actually mitigated, meaning lessened the side effects, the serious side effects of that by altering mitochondrial dysfunction so that it didn't produce too much oxidative stress. Wow, kept everything in balance, and the vasculature during ischemic stroke. And it showed that it was absolutely beneficial during these episodes. So even during the most ultimate, biggest stress component that you can have, tetrahydrocurcumin is protective. So imagine what it can do when we're not under those times of absolute amazing stress. So it brings things back into balance. Here we talked about, again, tetrahydrocurcumin, homocysteine, and mitochondria. So tetrahydrocurcumin altering the homocysteine. Homocysteine is one of the things that we measure in foundational medicine to look at the amount of cellular inflammation and oxidative stress that you have inside your body. Tetrahydrocurcumin has been shown to reduce the effects of the homocysteine on the mitochondria. So again, absolutely amazing at increasing the ability of the mitochondria to do what it needs to do and reducing the things that provide toxicity or decrease its function. Really, really cool. Tetrahydrocurcumin. So this was a very interesting but bizarre study, but I thought it was interesting in the fact that they purposefully gave arsenic, which is known to be a mitochondrial toxin, a significant mitochondrial toxin, and they actually then gave them tetrahydrocurcumin. And they shown that the tetrahydrocurcumin was effective at preventing and also reducing some of the arsenic-induced oxidative damage to the mitochondria. So again, whatever the source, whether it's from your own cellular inflammation, from outside external toxins, from whatever the case may be, from the ongoing oxidation that occurs in a mitochondria, tetrahydrocurcumin is protective. Absolutely amazing. Tetrahydrocurcumin mitigates and ameliorates brain cell death associated with hyperhomocystinemia. So again, this is a test that showed, again, during ischemic stroke and other areas when there's going to be an elevated inflammatory response, tetrahydrocurcumin actually, again, not only balanced it out, but made it so that the mitochondria did not head towards dysfunction. Absolutely amazing study and test. Okay. This study really looked at butyric acid. So when we talk about butyric acid and its role with mitochondria, absolutely powerful. It improves mitochondrial function, alleviates oxidative stress, and ameliorates the fatty liver. So again, a great study that really looked at butyric acid improving mitochondrial function. It does this several ways. Remember, butyric acid is a short-chain fatty acids, and a lot of these membranes that make up mitochondria. I mean, look at this description of a mitochondria. Look at all of this membrane, not only the yellow, but the pink. Though that's membrane that's affected, outer membrane and inner membrane. Well, butyric acid is absolutely key at keeping that membrane healthy, active, and doing what it's supposed to do. So this cellular power plant that they talk about here really adds to the function of your life. It really is what leads to your being healthy. So butyric acid directly improves mitochondrial function, not only through the membrane alteration that it performs, which is improving it, but it actually gets in and makes the DNA more active and susceptible to improving its function. So it's an epigenetic modulator, not only inside your normal DNA, but inside the DNA of a mitochondria. I don't know if you knew this, but mitochondria actually has its own DNA. It almost acts as its own organism inside of your cells. And butyric acid absolutely influences the mitochondria in that way. Tetrahydrocurcumin does this well, which is also very exciting. And we know that the NRF2 is a cellular modulator and a DNA modulator as well. So absolutely awesome. All right. Last article I'm just going to really quickly talk about is this article that, again, looked at some of the things with Parkinson's disease and so forth. The fact that butyric acid really controls inflammation, signals the white blood cells. I mean, it's just on and on what butyric acid does as far as helping us with inflammation. Parkinson's patients need that additional support from the mitochondria activation. Well, again, butyric acid improves dopamine synthesis, and they talk about how that works here as well. It resupplies the mitochondria, so it actually gets the mitochondria set up to continue its function and move forward. And ultimately, that means that we're having more mitochondria to do what it needs to do, but kept in balance. That's the power of the trifecta, is the fact that everything is kept in balance. And then the critical role really is bioavailability, making sure that you're actually able to get the butyric acid into your system And that's the beauty of Link, is the fact that it is wrapped within the the Psylock technology, and then it's released with DexKey at the appropriate time, so it can get into our bodies in high enough numbers to have a big impact. So, long story short, in regards to the trifecta and mitochondrial function, absolutely stimulates mitochondrial function, improves its function, so that makes it so that your existing mitochondria work better. It improves DNA function, cleans your DNA, makes it so that, it works better. If you're low in mitochondria, it'll actually propagate the synthesis of new mitochondria. And then the balancing act is absolutely critical because it helps reduce the oxidative stress. That is key and actually a function that the mitochondria has to do. It needs to burn that high energy, and the result of that, of burning energy in carbohydrates, fats, and proteins within our body, is oxidative stress. And so it helps lower the oxidative stress, which in turn decreases the toxicity that results from that process. So the mitochondria are activated, they're cleaned up, and they just function better. That's the trifecta. So I invite you to talk to your representative more about the power of the trifecta, and I hope this helps. All right, my best to you, and take care.